Krishna devotees and all pranam. The speaker will be joining in a minute now. Hare Krishna, Prasannatma, Balaram Prabhu, Dandavad Pranam Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat pranams to you.
Can you start, Prabhuji?
Yeah, if we are ready, then I can start.
Hare Krishna devotees, Dandavad Pranam. Welcome to Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. We are very pleased to have the association of His Grace Prasannatma Balaram Prabhu, who will be sharing the nectar from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 6, chapter number 2, sloka number 18 and 19. Prabhuji, we can start, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna to all the devotees. Dandavat pranams. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak about this wonderful topic, Ajamila's topic. Thank you so much. Though I have no qualification, just try to make a humble attempt at trying to understand what our acharyas have said on this. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatam Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yatkripātamaham Mande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. So, Prabhu, my voice, audio, everything is okay? Able to hear, right?
Clear, Prabhuji.
Thank you. So, just share the verse, then we can. So, just let me know if you all are able to see the verse.
Yes, Prabhu. Dandavat pranam.
Thank you. So, two verses we'll be looking at today, 18 and 19. So, verse 18, Ajnanad Athavajnanad Uttama Shloka Namayat Sankirtitam Agham Pumso Dahededo Yatanalaha. So, here the translation, I'll just skip the synonyms, the word to word. We'll go to the translation. So, translation and then the purport, by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So, here what is being told is, as a fire burns dry grass to ashes, so the holy name of the Lord, whether chanted knowingly or unknowingly, burns to ashes without fail all the reactions of one's sinful activities. And in the purport, Prabhupada says, fire will act regardless of whether handled by an innocent child or by someone well aware of its power. For example, if a field of straw or dry grass is set afire, either by an elderly man who knows the power of fire or by a child who does not, the grass will be burnt to ashes. Similarly, one may or may not know the power of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. But if one chants the holy name, he will become free from all sinful reactions. So, and then there is continuity in the next verse, so we'll take that also together. So in the verse 19, goes like this. Yatha gadham viryatamam upayuktam yadrichaya achanatho api atmagunam kuryan mantro api udharataha. So the translation and purport again by Prabhupada. So the translation is, if a person unaware of the effective potency of a certain medicine takes that medicine or is forced to take it, it will act even without his knowledge, because its potency does not depend on the patient's understanding. Similarly, even though one does not know the value of chanting the holy name of the Lord, if one chants knowingly or unknowingly, the chanting will be effective. So both these verses are supporting each other. It's a continuation. In the purport, Prabhupada says, in the Western countries where the Hare Krishna movement is spreading, learned scholars and other thoughtful men are realizing its effectiveness. For example, Dr. J. Stilson Judah, a learned scholar scholar has been very much attracted to this movement because he has actually seen that it is turning hippies addicted to drugs into pure Vaishnavas who voluntarily become servants of Krishna and humanity. Even a few years ago, such hippies did not know the Hare Krishna mantra, but now they are chanting it and becoming pure Vaishnavas. So this is what that gentleman was saying during the time when the movement was becoming popular. Thus, they are becoming free from all sinful activities such as illicit sex, intoxication, meat eating, and gambling. This is practical proof of the effectiveness of the Hare Krishna movement, which is supported in this verse. One may or may not know the value of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, but if one somehow or other chants it, he will immediately be purified, just as one who takes a potent medicine will feel its effect, regardless of whether he takes it knowingly or unknowingly. Hare Krishna. So these are two verses we'll try to discuss today. So before that, the Mangalacharan. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschayata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So seeking the blessings of all the senior Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis who are here. The senior devotees are here, so kindly bless me so that I'll be able to do some justice to these wonderful verses that we are discussing today. It's an ongoing topic on the story of Ajamila. I'm doing this as a service for the Guru Parampara, the pleasure of the Lordships, and for my own purification. Hare Krishna. So this particular chapter, like you all know, I'll not go too much into detail, but just for continuity, we understand how Sukadev Goswami is talking about the power of the holy name. And this power of the holy name is something that we will try to dwell upon in today's discussion. Okay. So in the previous verses, what we are seeing how there is this concept of atonement or prayaschit is being described by Sukadev Goswami. So and then in that we understood that this is basically a karma kanda activity. Like there is a sin that you have committed. Now, if that sin you have to be absolved of the sin, then you will have to do a certain activity. So that is what is prayaschit all about. And then, this actually gives us, we are able to neutralize the sin. So, chanting the holy name is also an activity. And then we'll try to see how that is connecting. But before that, one thing that comes out in the discussion is that even though we do atonement, the sin is taken away, and we realize that it is a sinful activity, one does not do it or one should not commit it. But generally, for a living entity, what happens is there is this tendency or propensity to commit that sin again and again. That's the point from where we are taking this discussion today. So now this propensity is something that we all are able to identify and recognize. And we are able to comprehend it based on our own experiences. So we realize how sometimes the vasanas are so strong, or the propensity to do a certain activity which will give us a certain sense pleasure is so strong that we are willing to do the sin, even though knowledge wise the brain says that it is not the correct thing to do, but then our senses, our mind is so weak that we end up doing it. So this aspect they are discussing, and they are saying that this propensity is something that is not being uprooted. It is like this in the modern day. If you look at an example, an analogy, a criminal serving a jail term, So I mean, they just go to jail, they come out, they again come back, and then do their own whatever they were doing. They'll just continue to do, and they take a lot of pride. And then they would even say, "I'll come back in 1 month. I'll come back in 3 months," or whatever. So I mean, though it's meant in a very humorous way, but we realize the folly of the human mind and the propensity that is there in each one of us to continue with what we are doing because of our conditioning. So now this cannot be uprooted. That is being identified. But however, Sukadeva Goswami is saying that if one serves the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality, then he is immediately freed from all such contaminations. What are these contaminations? The material desires that are there. It is taken away, it's pulled out from the root, like how we pull out weeds. Yeah, but then the roots are still there. So after some few weeks, then again you see the weeds coming up. So in that way, unless the pulling out is happening at the root level, then you will continue to have this problem. So in this way, the pulling out of the weed from the root is an activity that we will have to focus on rather than just cutting the weed at the top. So cutting the weed at the top is atonement, like you can all relate. And then pulling it out from the weed is actually atonement plus prayashchit. There is cutting involved there also, pulling it out from the weed, but then it is done at a more deeper level, which is done with prayashchit. And which is done with paschatap, which is done with repentance. So we'll not go into that detail, but let's just understand that it needs a deeper cleansing. And this deeper cleansing is brought about by only devotional activity and nothing else. So that is how the verse 17 ended. And in verse 18 and 19, Sukadeva Goswami is saying, or he is trying to give us an example to understand, like how this uprooting is happening, and then how vanquishing of our propensity to sin or our material desires are being, the intensity is being reduced to such an extent that we are able to have a control over it. So that's very important. So here, what is that example that is being given? The first verse talks about the fire, how it burns a dry grass to ashes. So like that, the holy name burns without fail. So that's the first aspect. So without fail, all reactions to our sinful activities are taken care by the holy name. Now, it doesn't stop there. Now it says that a person, whether he or she realizes realizes the effectiveness of this holy name, even if they don't realize it, even if they are ignorant of that fact, by just chanting the holy name, then we see this benefit. And for that, what is the analogy that is being given? That's in the next verse, where we are talking about the medicine. So as patients, we have all been consuming medicines. So, but then we have no clue how it acts on us, or we have no clue what is the composition, what is the dosage of each one, what it does, how the pain is removed, or how the cure is happening. We don't have any idea. A child, for example, will have no idea. A grown-up adult might have some idea about some immune system, etc., etc. But still, at the ground level, we have no clue how this particular thing is working. But then we just take it. We take it with good faith in the doctor who prescribed that to us. So faith is a very important ingredient there. So when we take it with faith, then the medicine will anyway act. It will act whether we know how it works or not. So it is going to work. It is like driving a car. We may not know what moves the car forward, but then we know we switch on, we just do those certain activities using our hands and legs, and then we can bring it into motion, and then we change gears, we can go faster, all of that. But we don't know how it actually, what's happening inside the car. But then we know that if I do this, then I'll be able to take it forward. So in this way, with limited understanding of many things we have, but then once we put our faith in the holy name, then we will be able to achieve this particular wonderful result that is being discussed by Sukadeva Goswami. Now, so the conclusion is what? Harinam is very, very powerful. And we see Prabhupada actually, even in the purport, he is explaining a little bit more and bringing our attention to the fact that how Harinam, the Sankirtan, Nam Sankirtan that Srila Prabhupada took to the Western world, how it transformed. It didn't change the people, it actually transformed them from hippies to happies, so that's something that you all are aware. And this is a miracle that we have taken for granted, actually. So we hear it so many times, but then the gravity of this particular transformation is not we are not able to realize it or see it in its entirety the way it has to be understood. So Prabhupada actually gives the example of an outsider, a scholar, who's making this comment where he says that I can see a huge change in these boys who were VPs before, who were given to who had broken all the four regulative principles. And now the transformation that they are seeing in them is amazing. Where, the basic tenets of meat eating, these were not considered sinful in the cultures that they were born. Even intoxication was not considered sinful, and illicit relationship was accepted in the culture. Even though they did agree that it was sinful, but then they realized that it's something that you'll have to live with, kind of a thing. So that kind of a society, and gambling, of course, there were gambling cities that were being built and all that, like in the 70s, whatever the Las Vegas, etc., were all coming up. There was real estate that was booming there, and that kind of a scenario. So all the four things were happening. This was like a cradle of all these four activities that was happening in the US and other Western countries. So, but then you see, even though those things were approved or it was taken that it was all right, you could still be a gentleman even if you are doing all these kind of activities. That's the view that culture had, but then still they were able to give it up completely. And it's not like they were able to give it up and then they took to it again and all that. It was uprooted from them, and it's a transformation that he saw. And that's what is being mentioned here. So Prabhupada is putting that in the purport as a reminder for us to understand and recognize the power of the holy name. And then when we are talking about the power of the holy name, it is eternal. Even in the earlier times, we know that it has brought about a transformation. It has brought about so much of transformation within individuals. So this example of Haridas Thakur is what I heard from the lecture that I was listening to on this topic, where Prabhuji was talking about how, we know that Haridas Thakur was a Namacharya. His only activity was to chant, and nothing else. So we all know 192 rounds he was doing. And we also know the prayojan that was there. There is this incident, all of you are aware of the pastime that happened where he was all the people who were jealous of him, because we know he is not from the Hindu community, he was from a Muslim community, but then he was chanting the name, and then he was always eternally, continuously doing it. And then there were people who were who wanted to see him fall. And so they tried to entice him by sending a prostitute to give her association to him. So she goes in the middle of the night or whatever, in the night time, and then she knocks, she goes in, and she states her purpose, why she is here. But then that whole episode, if you recall, then how Haridas Thakur he is neither showing aversion nor showing any attraction. There is very neutral. He is Samadharshi, he has become. So his consciousness or the frame of mind, we can understand, he is not showing any reaction, whether it is positive or negative. Even negative reaction in terms of disgust also he doesn't show. So he just says, okay, if that is the case, then you please sit down. But I have made a promise to my guru. I have a sankalpa where I'll have to chant a certain fixed number of rounds for the day. So I will have to finish this. Then we will talk about your business. We will discuss that later, or we'll look into it later. So she says, okay, if that's the case, I will wait. So she is sitting in the room all alone in the middle of the night. And she's come with that intention to associate with him. But then Haridas Thakur was able to, he continues with his chanting. So we can see how he was armed with this chanting. The chanting was the protective armor that he got mentally, physically, psychologically, however you want to call it. But we know that it is a transcendental protection that he had on him, which made him not yield to the advances of this lady. And he finished his rounds, and then it took a long time to finish because 192, so he kept on chanting, and then it became daylight. So then she has to leave. So she says, like, it didn't happen. So he says, I'm very sorry. Maybe tomorrow we can see, or something like that. And then so she comes the second day, then again the same thing happens in the third day, and so on and so forth. And then this lady realizes, in fact, the acharyas were saying that how this is Maya personified. We know that in the Bhagavatam also it is mentioned that women are the personification of Maya, so to speak, because everything starts from there. And this is, I'm just saying what is there without any offense to anybody here. But then, of course, Prabhupada also has explained that how once one is becoming a Vaishnava, then these bodily designations don't matter. So whether it is a Mataji or a Prabhu, then one should not take this personally. That's the point. Okay, so then we know that is the object of Maya, personification of Maya. So this lady then they realize that she's not able to have any impact on him. And then she accepts defeat. And then there is a transformation that has happened to her. Instead of transforming or pulling down Haridas Thakura, she gets elevated. That's the power of a Vaishnava, So they don't get influenced by the other person, but the other people get influenced by them. And then she understands her mistake. She pays obeisances, and then she accepts the holy name, accepts defeat, accepts, and then begs forgiveness. So it's a happy ending from that perspective, where there is a transformation that we do. So the whole underlying point is how the holy name, how if one takes the support of the holy name, then there is so much of protection that is there. And then we can see how Haridas Thakur was able to actually defeat Maya Devi by taking the support of the holy name. And now, not to compare or to belittle anybody, but then we can understand in the Puranas, we have heard stories where people or great personalities have succumbed to women, Vishwamitra Muni was in deep meditation, and that meditation was on the Jnana Khanda platform, or it was more on the Dhyana, the Ashtanga Yoga platform, where he gets distracted by the sound of the ankle bells. He's not even seeing that lady who's been sent by Indra to disturb her, the celestial personality who's being sent. So he, just by hearing the sound of the ankle bells, he gets distracted. He opens his eyes, and then he sees this beautiful lady who has come near him, and then who wants to associate with him. And then he gives in, and then the story goes on. We know that Shakuntala was born, and etc., etc. And then suddenly, after some time, then he realizes after many years the mistake that he had done, and then he again tries to go back that path that he was traveling. But it's a struggle. But then it's a struggle with a fall. And then again, it happened like that. But then in the case of Haridas Thakura, we see how he was able to not yield or succumb to that kind of an allurement of the senses. The senses are very, very strong, but then the holy name is so powerful that it is able to protect a person, give the complete protection for the individual. This is something that we all know. And then but then the realization of the holy name is very important. And then the power of the holy name is very important. We'll try to see a little bit more on that. Now, people might argue that, okay, Haridas Thakur was a very pure devotee, a pure Vaishnava, so he was chanting the name in a pure way. He was a pure devotee, right? So Shuddha Nam is what he was chanting. Agreed. We are right there. So because he was chanting the name in the holy name, and he was chanting it in the Shuddha Sattva stage, that is beyond the Shattvagun, which is beyond Shuddha Nam he was chanting. So it worked on him, or it had that effect, which is quite logical for us to conclude like that. But then the story that we are looking at is the story of Ajamil, where Ajamila actually did not even chant. I mean, he chanted the name, he took the Lord's name. Definitely the chanting that Ajamila did, or taking the Lord's name that Ajamila did, and the way Haridas Thakur was taking the Lord's name, there is a huge difference in the consciousness, right? But still it gave benefit for Ajamila. And that is what we are seeing here. That's how then so much of discussion is happening around it. That discussion is happening with the Vishnu Dutas and the Yama Dutas also, where one is not able to understand and the other one is explaining. And then that's a message for all of us. So this is how we can understand the power of the holy name. So even if it is chanted in a not in a very pure consciousness, still it will work. And for this, these two verses are supporting. How they are supporting? Whether you are aware of the power of the holy name, whether you know it or you unknowingly chant, you will get that benefit. And for that, the analogy of how a medicine will work, whether we know it or not, is given us. So that's how we are able to connect the dot and then ensure that we don't forget this particular aspect. Now, that doesn't mean that, okay, whether I know or not, anyway, it will benefit, so I need not know anything. No, that's not what we are trying to say here, because there is more to it. And that more to it, we will try to discuss on how, okay, I will just discuss that in a little while. But before we get in there, we need to be aware that there are three aspects of chanting the holy name, So now, okay, before we get there, okay, I'm just going to share something. So we'll also have to understand what is the holy name. So the holy name, we all know, is non-different from Krishna. And this is something that we have heard. So let's spend some time now to understand or reiterate that particular fact about how the name is non-different from Krishna. See, that we are all in ignorance. The very first knowledge that is given to us is the Supreme Personality of God, Krishna, and then how we are all his servants. So that's the first thing. So I am different. I am a living entity, and then the Lord is there. That is Krishna, and He is the source. He is the Sarva Karana Karanam. He is the source of everything. So He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the fountainhead of everything. So this is the first knowledge that we get. Now, and then we also know where he stays. So even though he's present everywhere in the Brahman feature, so we understand the three features by which he is to be known, which is Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaniti, Shabdyate, which talks about how he is present everywhere. But then he is still located in one place. So now, then we understand that, okay, I am here located in one place. I am encaged in a body, and then I am a soul. So that understanding is there. And then there is Krishna, who's on the other side, far, far away. And now there is a relationship that exists between us, and I'm so far away because I wanted it like this, or I've been put here because I've been conditioned in the material world. So because of these reasons, because I had some desires, I am going through the cycle of birth and death. I'm in impermanence, whereas Krishna is in permanence. So we are beginning to realize the differences that exist between us, between the material world and the spiritual world, between us and then between us and Krishna, and then how I am influenced by material world or that material energy, and how Krishna is not. So when we understand all of this, then there is some amount of like we begin to realize that, oh, he is so far away and I am somewhere here. Now, how do I reach out to him? But then the Lord is very merciful. So what he is saying, like, even though I am far away, but then I'm also, there are four ways in which we can realize the Lord. One is the name, then the form, and then the qualities, and then the leelas, the pastimes. So they generally, I mean, Prabhupada goes on to say this. I am just taken from whatever slide that you're seeing here is taken from Harinam Chintamani. So in this, we are coming to this slide, but before that, I'm just giving you certain aspects about what is mentioned there, which will help us to realign our understanding of the power of the holy name. So here, there are generally any entity has to be described. There are 4 attributes to that. What are they? Name, form, qualities, and then the activities. That is how these 4 are there. And it is for anybody. When you want to describe about somebody, you will start by saying his name. Then you will show a photo of that individual. This is how he looks or whatever. Then his qualities you will talk about, his or her. And then you will also talk about anything that he has done or she has done. So like the leelas or whatever, the activities. So in this way, the Lord also, and all these 4 attributes are part of that entity. So we have to, when we talk about a personality, all these is taken collectively, correct? Now, so yeah, even in individual cases also, it is the same. That is how then we can understand. And the same way, that is also extended to Krishna. So Krishna is the absolute truth, but he is known by 4 attributes, which is the name, form, qualities, and activities. So actually, all the objects are known by these 4. So I just mentioned that. Now, what happens? There is also some rasa in the activities. Rasa is the mellow, or there is some exchange of emotions and feelings. So that is also there. So all of this together. Now, we understand that the Lord, among these 4 attributes which are there, we also have heard that they are non-different from the Lord, because they are not, you can't separate them out. It is like trying to separate light and heat from sun. We know sun means, then we'll think it along with heat and light. So like that, the 4 attributes are always there in that individual. So the name, the form, qualities, and the pastimes. Now in this, they are saying that the name is the primary element among the 4. So we always thought it was the form, or we always thought it was the leelas, or we always thought it was the quality that we need to know. But no, the primary element is the name. So much of potency is put in this name that if we realize the name, and through the name, then we can realize the other attributes. So by chanting, that is why we see our acharyas, Prabhupada, right from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, our parampara, they have said how we can realize the Lord through the name of the Lord. So by saying Krishna, then Krishna dances in our tongue. By chanting, then the revelation happens in terms of the form of the Lord. Then you see the form of the Lord, and then the qualities of the Lord, the leelas. So that is how, in fact, Vyasadeva compiled the entire Srimad Bhagavatam through such realization only, where he was able to see the pastimes of the Lord, and then he started writing. So this is at the level where by meditating on the Lord's name, then the form, and then the qualities, and then the leelas also. So all the other things, attributes, are made known to us by just catching hold of the name of the Lord. And that's how powerful the name is. And that is what we need to understand. And this is the verdict of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us this particular thing where he is trying to tell us how important this name is. And in that, there are certain aspects of the name which we are seeing in the slide here. So we know that the name is non-different from Krishna. So that means what? Nama Chintamani Krishna. Then it is Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. So Nama Chintamani. What is Chintamani? Chintamani is a touchstone. So the Nama is like a touchstone. So anybody who comes in touch with the Nam, they become purified. They become, the touchstone means, you touch any object with that touchstone, then it becomes gold. In the same way, the Nama anybody is being touched by the Nam, by the sound Krishna, then immediately there is a transformation that happens with that individual. So that is Nama Chintamani Krishna. Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. And this name is non-different. It is Chaitanya. It is not just a name without any Chaitanya, right? There's no life in it. It's not like that. So like it is full of that awareness is there. The Chaitanya is there. And then it is also a vigraha, that the name is got a form, or it is indicative of the form. So it's a vigraha, and it is full of rasa. So there is activities that are happening. So Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha talks about chit and then form, and as well as about the activities. And because of the activities, then there is rasa that is involved, mellow is there. So like this, we can, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us how we need to understand. Then it is Nitya Mukto. That means it is eternally liberated and never conditioned by material nature. What is not conditioned by material nature? Not Krishna, but the name Krishna. Because now we realize Krishna and name Krishna are not different. Now, I think you would have heard in your Bhakti Vrikshas and other engagements, they talk about how the name and the Lord are not different. This analogy of water is given. So water is a sound water, or the word water indicates the substance water. We know that. So now, in the same way, if you think Krishna word sound represents the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but that is correct. But then it is not limited. Because how? Because this is material, the other one is spiritual. Krishna is spiritual, water is material. How do we understand this? They say, like if you say water, water, you cannot quench your thirst. Because the word water is just a sound. It is not, it denotes the substance, but then it has no attributes of the substance. It cannot quench your thirst. You got it? So you'll have to drink the substance which is denoted by the sound water, then your thirst is quenched. Whereas in Krishna, so the conclusion is water and substance water and the word water are different. Though they denote each other, there's a relationship. But in Krishna's case, it's not like that. The form Krishna, or Krishna himself, and the sound Krishna are the same. So this is how it is Nama Chintamani and Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. And because of that, all the qualities of Krishna is in the word Krishna also. So that is Nitya Mukto. So the word cannot be contaminated. Like how Krishna cannot be contaminated by material things, the word or the sound Krishna also cannot be. So that is why Nama is so powerful. It is Nitya Mukto. And it is Purna Shuddho, because the Lord is Purna Shuddho. He is complete and he is eternally pure. So there is no, he is Achyuta. He doesn't fall. So in the same way, the name also cannot get contaminated. So the name is so purifying. And that is why the conclusion is that Abhinnatvan Nama Naminaha. That means there is no difference between the name and the person who's being denoted by the name. That is Nama and Naminaha. Naminaha is the person to whom the name is associated with. And Nam, that is a word. So Abhinnatva, these two are not separate. So that's what we are seeing. Just try to capture that in this particular slide. And it is not a material sound vibration. It is no less powerful than Krishna himself. That is the conclusion. So now we realize that the name is very powerful. Now we know that if we take the name, then it is as good as Krishna being present there. So this is the first step. But then what happens is, now we'll have to take this name, right? But when we have to take the name, there are different ways in which we will take this name. Why? It depends on our consciousness. This is very simple to understand. Based on the consciousness that I put in the name, it becomes either a Namaparad type of taking the name, or it becomes a Shuddhanam type of taking the name, or it is an in-between stage called as Namabhas stage of taking that name. So there are three categories or ways in which you will take the name. So this is what is being discussed in detail in these verses, where we are seeing, of course, Shuddhanam means then you just chant once and that's over. It has all the benefits that are associated with Krishna. So you just take that name once and then you are liberated. Your life is done. You are realized, and all revelations are yours. And then you realize the name, form, activities, pastimes, everything. So it's a complete package that will come to you, and then it is done. But then if we take the name in not that pure consciousness, but we are very far moved away from the Lord. So we have no knowledge, and we also make some offenses. We have some misinformation about the Lord. All lords are, all gods are same. And then whether you take Krishna name or any other name, it has the same power. These deviations that are there, all these are playing in our minds. Even with that, when we chant, or we may not be so attentive. So there's so much of attention that is needed, because see how attentive we will be when Krishna is there. In the same way, we should be attentive when the name is there or the nama is there. So when I say Krishna, then it should be all attention should be on Krishna. But then we are not able to bring about that kind of consciousness within ourselves. So some of us are very moved far away from it. So we are doing it with inattention chanting, or we do it with various aparads, means improper understanding. We do chanting. So that's the 10 offenses that are there. So all this is the purificatory process for us to move towards the Shuddhanam stage. Now, because we are so far away, we take the name with Nam Aparad. We make so many mistakes, but still the Lord is merciful. He doesn't mind those mistakes. And then he tries to see how we are wanting to correct ourselves, like a small child trying to write A, B, C, D, just learning. And then the A doesn't look like an A at all. But then still there is some encouragement that is being given by the teacher. So in this way, the child may not get 10 out of 10, but then definitely they'll get some marks for having tried. So in this way, our mercy, that is what we call as mercy in spiritual, in Adhyatmika. So the mercy, we have to just attract the mercy. We cannot do it properly. So now we start chanting, and then we get this knowledge. We listen to classes, we attend Bhakti Rucha, we attend classes on Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, we hear from Vaishnavas, from Prabhupada. And then we realize there's so many aspects, the relationship, Krishna not being different, the word, all of that. So with this knowledge, when we say, then also we are not able to chant properly. Our mind keeps wandering. But each time when the mind is wandering, we try to remember this, and then we try to pull our mind back. That is our sadhana. And we get credit points for that, not for having chanted properly, but for the effort that we are putting in to chant properly. So that is why we are called as Vaishnava Praya. We are not Vaishnava, but we are Vaishnava Praya. That means we are practicing devotees. So practicing devotees means like a doctor, like an intern. He or she is a doctor full-fledged, but then not a full-fledged doctor, but then they're in the process of becoming a doctor. So you can still see them with white coat, with stethoscope and all of that. They might look like doctors only in the way they appear, but then we know that they are not doctors. So something like that, Vaishnava. So we dress up like Vaishnavas, we do all of that. So we look like Vaishnavas, but then we are Vaishnava Praya, or we are practicing devotees, because we are still struggling with our consciousness, with our material propensities. So when this consciousness is aware, and then we take Lord's name every time, then we are moved away from the Nam Aparad stage. We are consciously trying to pronounce the name properly. And when we are doing that, then this stage is not Shuddhanam stage still. So this in-between stage is called as Namabha stage. So just for us to comprehend where we are, these things are all there. So in the Namabha stage is like a shadow reflection. So if you read Harinam Chintamani, then it talks about the shadow. It gives an analogy like a shadow or a reflection. And then it says the Harinam is so powerful that even if you chant in Namabha stage, there is still benefit that you get. You may not get the full benefit like in the Shuddhanam, but then it will pave the way for Shuddhanam, and it will take away your sins. And these are all some of the benefits that you get by chanting in Namabhas. That doesn't mean that, okay, Namabhas is fine for me, I'll remain there. No. That means then we have improper understanding, which means that then immediately we move up to Namaparad stage. So we keep shifting between Namaparad and Namabhas actually. So inattentive we chant, which is Namaparad, because if we are not attentive when we are chanting, or we will desire some benefit, some result, and then we will chant. So many things, with some motive we will chant. So this is not Shuddha Bhakti, this is not Bhakti Yoga. So it is in Namaparad stage, but then realizing that I'm in Namaparad means that I'm moving towards Namabhas. So this is how this transition happens. And in the transition, it's not like I reach there, then that means I'll be fixed here. No, you keep falling back again and again. And so you'll have to keep on doing this. And then keep on doing this, then we'll attract the mercy. Because seeing our effort, the Lord He will shower His mercy on us. And then from Namabha stage, then it will, from there, then it gives us an opportunity to move to Shuddhana. So this is how the realizations happen, or the consciousness shifts from aparad stage, where we are so much of distance is there between me and Krishna. Then we realize who am I and who is Krishna, what is the relationship, and then we realize I need to be there, and then we take the name, and then we know that the only way to go to Krishna is through the name. So that knowledge itself is not there in many people. So knowing about it, realizing it, taking to it with faith, putting the complete faith in our parampara, in our acharyas, in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all the acharyas, and then taking the Lord's name, that means then we are in the namabha stage, because our propensity is still, we are still inattentive, even though we have this knowledge. And then we move on to the next stage, which will pave us the way to move to the Shuddhana, for which there is no example or analogy that is given, because it's beyond our understanding. But then anyway, we understand how our acharyas are chanting the Shuddhana, and then how they are able to see the name, form, pastimes, everything. So it becomes one. Then there is no difference between Krishna, the name Krishna, the sound Krishna, or the form Krishna, the guna of Krishna, or the leelas of Krishna. So everything we are able to see them. So that's how the progression of consciousness happens. And the Lord is actually giving us an opportunity to progress like that. So the Lord is so merciful that He is giving us, everyone, an equal opportunity to progress in that way. We might be in the line now, we might be in the last, but even that last person is given equal opportunity to move up, to come forward, and then to make that progress, transition from Namaparad with knowledge to come to the platform of Namabhas, and then strengthen our chanting, or make our consciousness proper in Namabhas, and then move on to Shuddhanam. So this is the journey of the soul. This is the journey that this is how then our final destination, our Swarupa Siddhi, or our Swarupa, we will come to know only by this progress. So this is how then Namabhas becomes very important. And when we are talking about, I told you that we are toggling between Namabhas and Namaparad. So the Namaparad, then we have to avoid the 10 offenses. So what are they? So those, avoiding those aparads, I mean, we know those, we chant those 10 aspects, right? I mean, what do we, those 10 things that we talk, I'll not go into the detail in interest of time. But then if we are able to take care of those things, and then with the proper consciousness chant, then it comes to the stage of Namabhas. So Namabhas is still, there is a lot of potency in that. And that is how Ajamila, he chanted in Namabhas. You've heard that from earlier speakers. And still it gave him the benefit. What is the benefit it gave him? It took away all his sins. So powerful the Lord's name is. It is, for that the analogy given is of daybreak, dawn. The sun is still not come. So Shuddhanam is still not there. But the daylight is beginning to come. And because the daylight is seen, we already have clarity in our surrounding. When it was dark, we were not able to see anything. But because just the sun is still not come out, but still daylight is there, the dawn is breaking. So the light is beginning to show. And with that kind of light itself, we are able to see things clearly. That is what is Namabhas. We are still not in the pure name calling out the consciousness, but then we are beginning to move towards that. And so the effect of Namabhas is so powerful that it takes away our sins, like how the daylight is clearing away the darkness. So in that way. So then just imagine how bright things will be when the sun comes up fully. So like that, Shuddhanam will be many folds beyond this kind of a consciousness or realization. So the 10 offenses, what are the first things for us is the 10 offenses. I'll not go into that. In that, the main thing is number 9, which is inattention, pramada. The root cause of all other offenses is, if one is inattentive, then the heart will not melt. So that is why it is an offense to be inattentive while chanting. So we'll always have to make ourselves attentive to the sound of the name. So that's why it is very, they say sometimes, we wonder, what should I imagine when I'm chanting? They say, you don't have to imagine anything. Form of the Lord, pastime of the Lord, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, what should I do? Which Leela I should remember? No, you just hear the name, because the name is non-different from all the other 4 attributes. So just hearing the name will take you to Shuddhanam and beyond. So this is how everything that we hear from our acharyas are connecting. It's not like we didn't know anything. It's all connecting. But then, when the only thing that separates us from Shuddhanam is the offenses. So if we are able to take care of the offenses, then it will be helpful. So now I just wanted to show what happens when we prayojan, when we get to this point of Shuddhana, then the jiva regains their spiritual identity or Swarupa Siddhi and enters the eternal pastimes of the Lord. This is what we saw as examples for Vyasadeva also. Sorry, not Sukadeva Goswami, Vyasadeva, where he saw the whole picture because of his association with the name of the Lord and the form of the Lord in dhyana. When he sat, then he was able to see all of them. So with one, you will be able to get the rest. And then our identity becomes revealed. What is our identity? Identity, that is the Swarupa. So reaching our identity is called as Swarupa Siddhi. And this is just another additional point. What do we mean by identity? Then we will know our relationship with the Lord, our age, our name, our color, our group, which group we belong to, our dress, what is my dress there in the spiritual world, what order, what is the order that I am receiving there, what is my residence, what is the service, and who is my protecting gopi. So these are the 11 things which will help us to identify our actual swarupa. I mean, that's how we will be able to understand who we are, not just what is my mood. And this has to be revealed. It is not to be realized, it will be revealed. We think generally we have another pitfall. Oh, I have this propensity to do. Maybe in the spiritual world I am this. Maybe I am that. I mean, while it might be good to speculate like that, but if we get bogged down by that too much, then that is also not good. Because we'll have to know that anyway it will be revealed when the time comes. Right now, I'll have to just hang on to this holy name and understand its power, understand its effectiveness, understand its potency, and put all my faith into the holy name, and then just to do what I'm supposed to do. So that will then ensure that eventually in the due course of time, that will happen. So when that happens, then I will know. And when that happens, then it is a revelation, because you can't speculate on your relationship, your age, your name, color. That will be like your mind, your material desires will overshadow that, and it will tell you, okay, I like this color, so maybe my color is that in the spiritual world. No, those are all speculative. So we'll not get into that. This is what is revealed knowledge. So if we are able to differentiate between revealed knowledge and realized knowledge, then we are in in good hands, or we are protecting ourselves against Maya in multiple ways. Even in spiritual progress also, we can succumb to Maya by going off track in these ways. So all this we will be protected against, and we will be able to reach our goal, which is Swarupa Siddhi. So these are some of the thoughts I just wanted to share with respect to Hari Nam. So very powerful. And there is a lot to be known about Harinam, about getting our consciousness right. And it's a continuous practice. It's not like, okay, today I've listened, I know, and then that's done. No, we will again forget it. Or the impact with which we are understanding something will get clouded again. So we'll have to again relearn, until it becomes very strong in our mind. It's like memorizing a shloka. We'll think that we understood, we'll be able to recite it. But after some few days, if you don't practice it, then we would have forgotten all the complete verse completely. So, but then constantly remembering it will help us get that flow when we are trying to quote or recite a verse or anything. So with these material examples, we can understand our limitations with respect to the faculties that are there with us in terms of memory, in terms of intelligence, etc., and not give too much of importance to that, but then go with what the scriptures are saying and with faith, and then take the holy name. Just try to hear the holy name when we are chanting. Just limited. That's why even in the Japa workshop, they say, chant in the moment. Don't even think about your next round. I mean, next syllable or in the next Japa. Just think of this Hare Krishna mantra, the Maha mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Just listen to whatever you are speaking. Don't even have to think too much. Don't give too much of work to your mind, because it will take you away. So this is doable, because if you depend, because for remembering the Lord's form, you depend on the mind. If you depend on the mind, then you'll remember the form for some time. Then from there, then it'll get deviated. This is not some. I mean, we all know that. I mean, it's an open secret. Everyone knows that. So just listening to the name, and to listen to the name with faith, then we should know what is the power of the name. Nama Chintamani, Rasa Vigraha, how the name is not different from the Lord, this knowledge. And then why this Harinam Chintamani, it's called Harinam Chintamani. So, and then why I'm not seeing that benefit because of my consciousness in which I'm chanting. So I'm doing Nama Parad, so naturally I will not get that result. But then these verses, today's verses says that even if you don't know, that is the Namabha stage is being explained here. So come to the Namabha stage where you will get that benefit. Even in Namaparaj stage also, there is some benefit. Like Dhruva Maharaj, we can't say he did devotional service with Aparaj, but then he went with some material desire. But then it got purified for him. The Lord took care of it, even though. So that's why it's called Akama Sarva Kamava Moksha Kama Udaradi. Tivrena Bhakti Yogena Yajate Purusham Param. So the Bhakti Yoga is so tivra, so intense that it will take care in whatever consciousness you go, it will purify you. That's the whole point. It doesn't mean that I'll remain in that consciousness. It's the point that we should understand that I'm here and from here I need to go there. So that's proper understanding of these various seemingly contradictory things, and it will help us to align ourselves properly and continue with clarity whatever we are doing. So I'll stop here on this note. If there are any comments or questions, kindly go ahead. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, and then let's pronounce to all of you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Exhaustive, wonderful, Prabhu. Prabhu, you said you took it from the Hari Bhakti Vilasa, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Prabhu, the last point I didn't understand. You were telling about the identity. Could you please explain that?
See, our identity as a spirit soul, no, we all have an identity. We know that, right? We all have an identity in the spiritual world. Correct, na?
Yes, Prabhu.
So that identity, the description of that is what, and that is called as Swarupa.
Okay.
Swarupa Siddhi, they say, na? That is, we are all progressing towards that only. Na? We need to know who we are. First, we need to know who we are not. So the first lesson is that we are not this body. Then who am I? I am the soul. And as a soul, I am here only. No, you have a place, you have an identity. So like that, step by step when we go, the final complete awareness of myself is the Swarupa Siddhi. In that, what all are there? That is what I just showed or I shared, which is talking about relationship, age, name, color, group, dress, order, residence, service, and the protecting gopi.
But all that we will not be knowing, no, Prabhu. Only
No, we don't need to know now. That is
okay.
what I'm saying. We will not know. It will be revealed to us when the time comes. But we should know that I have all those things there. At this moment, I don't know. That is why I said let's not give too much work to the mind and speculate on all this, but then just catch hold of the holy name. That is enough for us. That's the point I was trying to make.
Okay. Thank you so much for the wonderful class, Prabhu. Dandavad Pranam.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavad Pranams. Thank you for the wonderful class, Prabhu. So that 11 identities, we need not worry. That I was also wanted to know, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Whatever
we need not worry now. We need not worry now. We should not worry if you ask me, because that will be speculative in nature. That is why I'm saying don't worry. Because our mind will trick us. We'll keep on speculating on that so much, and we think it is spiritual. But then we are deviating away from what we are supposed to do. Even while chanting, we will think about all that. Why I like this color, maybe I am that. I gave you that example, no? And the mind will take us away. And then we'll move into inattentive chanting. We'll become, from trying to go to Shuddha Nam, we'll end up falling into Namaparad. So,
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams. Wonderful class, Prabhu. Prabhu, I had read that comparing the Shuddhanama and water, but I hadn't understood. Today I understood it very well, Prabhu. You explained it very well. The name of water doesn't have the attributes of water, whereas the name of Krishna has all the attributes of Krishna. So thank you so much, Prabhu.
That is what our acharyas have said. So nicely, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has clarified it in all his teachings, in the sense when he's teaching through Haridas Thakur. This Nama thing, in Harinam Chintamani, it's a conversation between Haridas Thakura and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So there in the foreword, it is said that Mahaprabhu is actually teaching us with certain devotees, certain things. In that Nam and Harinam, the power, he chose Haridas Thakur as a media to bring out that aspect and communicate to all of us. So So that is why Haridas Thakur, we should always remember. That's why we always say, Namacharya Haridas Thakur ki jai, we say. So he is the one who, through his mercy, then it becomes easier for us, or it becomes better. We'll understand things better when we are surrendered in that way. Otherwise, like you said, no, we will not have clarity, or we'll think, oh, something they are saying. Or,
Yes.
Yeah.
I read this in Srila Prabhupada books, Prabhu. What is from Haribhakti Vilasa, Prabhu?
Yeah, see, Mataji, our parampara, all the acharyas, eventually it all comes there. It boils down to what they are saying, because each acharya is saying what they have heard from their gurus. So there will not be any deviation. I just see, even Harinam Chintamani is written by Bhaktivinoda Thakura, but it's in our parampara. It's been translated into English by His Holiness Bhanuswami Maharaj. So the parampara connection is there. So it's not to, we're not saying this is better than that, not like that. So any of these, the information is there in all of these literatures that is given to us. And that's our problem, actually. We are given so much, and we are given the best. We don't realize it, actually. At least in my case also, I don't realize it, that I have the best with me. And I think we take it for granted. So we have to stop and then do a check on this, and then realize that, oh, this is such a powerful thing that we have. So that's the whole point.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranams, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Balaram Prabhu. Beautiful lecture. And the analogy what you've given for Krishna and water, absolutely fine. And can you give me one small hint for attentive chanting? We are struggling a lot in that chanting.
Yeah. So attention to what in the chanting, that is what we'll have to look at. And that is why I was saying that attention to the name itself, to the sound itself. So just hear the name Krishna. So mouth is saying Krishna, ear should hear Krishna. So there is no mind. Where is the mind in between? They say in all the japa workshops, this is how they give us the tips on how we should chant. So just listen to the word, to the sound, not even the word, the sound, and don't think of the next one or any of those things. Just listen to this and then go on. And then move the beat each time you complete the round. That is all. So because if we complicate it too much, then mind also will build on it and then complicate it further to us. So if we keep it very simple, keep it to the present, that is like this time I will try to do. I mean, it's not that I'm doing it like that. Every one of us, we are struggling. But the struggle is a little more easier when we do it this way. And if we are doing alone, then we have a problem. When we are doing it in the association of Vaishnavas, actually our chanting is better because there is jointly when we do, there is some amount of like this birds flying. No, there is some amount of push that is given that each one takes from the other. We take the support of others, and then we are able to chant better. The spiritual energies are all coming together. So there is definitely a benefit. So generally, we say like, okay, alone, let me chant. That person chants so loudly, it is so disturbing. Okay, initially our mind will tell a lot of things like that. But then once we actually get used to chanting in a group, then that group, the strength of the group actually will help us to remain focused at that point. So these are some of the tips, like group chanting, and then just listening to the name and not think too much. Just whatever is being pronounced, try to listen to it. And then being in the moment. They say, when you chant, you be in the moment. Any workshop will tell you all these three. So, but we have to practice it. Maybe I am able to practice it for 10 chants only. So, but where is 108 and where is 108 into 60? So we have a long way to go.
Long way to go.
10 is a good start. And then from 10, you make it 20. Then, so step by step, not look at, you all 16, I'm going to do like this. No, it will never happen. So while the desire can be that, but then you can't make a sankalpa like that and sit. So that may not work. So these are practical tips to get there. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Dandavat for your tips.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I'm sorry, Prabhu. Can you please repeat that water and the Krishna, that part again once, if you don't mind, please?
Yeah, I can repeat. But Prabhuji, do you want to explain that?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Mataji. By saying water, our quest will not fulfill. But by saying Krishna name, all the four attributes, name, form, quality, and his pastime, gets revealed in our mind. That's what Prabhu explained. Is it right, Prabhu?
Correct. Yeah.
Thank you.
because the sound water and the substance water are different. The sound water doesn't carry the attributes of water, which means that what is the attribute of water? It will quench our thirst. So if I say water, if it is not quenching, that means this is just a sound and the substance is different. But it is denoting it. When I say water, I know it denotes that substance. So, and if I drink that, my thirst is quelled. This is material understanding. But spiritual, the Lord Krishna and the form or Krishna himself, they are not separated like this, like water and water. They are together, which means that if you say Krishna, then Krishna is present there. So the name, form, quality, everything is present. So that's the analogy that our parampara, our acharyas give this parampara. Prabhupada has explained this many times.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. I was little inattentive at that time. Thank you so much for it. Dandavad Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much, Prasannatma, Balaram, Prabhu. It was a wonderful class. Prabhu, just follow up clarification. So when we chant Krishna's name, the attributes of the Lord will manifest. So that manifestation, depending on our purity of the or intent of the chanting, right, Prabhuji? If I am chanting inattentively, probably I will not see any attributes manifesting, but there will be cleansing happening internally, right, Prabhuji? Irrespective of
Correct.
That's my understanding.
Very true. I think it depends on our consciousness. So that is why it says, to that extent, to the extent that our attention is there, to that extent, this thing. The Lord is like that. So based on our surrender, he will reveal. So all of these, what we hear is all aligning. Even in the Naam also, it is like that. If you are inattentive when the Naam is being told, then the consciousness, Prabhupada talks about consciousness of the name, so much he gave. So I believe when he was walking somewhere, Hare Krishna was written somewhere on the road, on the pavement, not road, well, on the path. So he stepped aside that. He didn't want to cross over it or stamp it and all. He said, no, I will not walk like this because name is there. So that's the level of consciousness that Prabhupada had. And then he was saying like, okay, so because he's seeing the name and Krishna is non-different, and then this is like that, So, sometimes it's a little bewildering for us because we are not tuned like that. But then we'll have to understand in the way our acharyas are seeing it, and then try to not. It doesn't mean we'll have to imitate them. We'll have to get that realization. That's the whole point. We can't say, okay, Prabhupada didn't stop, I'll also not stamp. That's good to copy like that. But then we'll have to move towards realization. Yeah. Thank you. So we can continue, Prabhu.
Yeah, I think we can end today's session with Vaishnava.
Yeah. Vancha kalpatrubhyascha kripa sindhubhyo patitana paramebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki
Jai.
jai. Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Thank you all so much.
Hare
Thank
Krishna,
you,
Dandavad
Prabhu.
Pranam, Prabhu, Hare Krishna.